This man, gigantic. Some might say season saver in Game 6. Tyrese Maxey making the walk back to his home at the center. Oh, baby. You know it is Game 7. And Tobias Harris has the fit to prove it. South Philadelphia, Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Semifinals. The 1-seed 76ers, 3 games. The 5-seed Atlanta Hawks, 3 games. Which team will advance to the Eastern Conference Finals? We find out in a little over an hour's worth of time. And there is a guy who's been gigantic in this series. He was again in Game 6. He has been all postseason long. Seth Curry, splashing away. Phenomenal in the playoffs. Certainly someone the 76ers will be counting upon tonight as they look to move on to the conference finals for the first time in 20 years. It is a big night at the center. We cannot wait. Great to be with you here on 7-6 Live Countdown. I'm Brian Seltzer. Lauren Rosen is on site courtside. Lauren, Game 7, this is what it's all about.
This truly is, I don't want to spoil too much, but it was great to hear Furkan Korkmaz say this morning that he remembers being a kid in Turkey watching the NBA playoffs, watching Game 7s. And yes, as many kids did, imagining himself playing. He's going to have that chance in just a few moments. It's been a few years since the Sixers team, which did include Furkan Korkmaz, played in a Game 7. That was in Toronto, of course. But it's been a few more years, Seltz, since we've had one here at the Wells Fargo Center.
Last time it was back in the Eastern Conference Finals, 2001, 76ers against the Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, before that, the Sixers also went 7 games, also at home against the Toronto Raptors in a second-round series. This is the 17th Game 7 in postseason history for the 76ers. They are 6-10 all time, but Lauren Rosen, when at home, that record is dramatically different.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for teeing me off for that one, Seltz. You knew I was excited about the 5-1 record in home Game 7s at the center. Tonight, of course, the 7th one, and an opportunity to extend upon an already impressive statistic for your 76ers.
We know a rite of passage here on 7-6 Live Countdown. If you've been following us all season long, the injury report, Lauren Rosen, the latest. What have you got for us tonight?
I have got you, Seltz. Well, as has been the case all series long, Joel Embiid remains questionable due to that small lateral meniscus tear in his right knee. Danny Green, as has been the case throughout the series, is out because of that right calf strain. Don't worry, he will be in the huddle. He will be giving the advice and the wisdom he has provided all series long. And as for the Hawks, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish remain out. Trae Young is probable with right shoulder soreness, and Bogdan Bogdanovic, probably the crux of this injury report, Seltz, is questionable with right knee soreness. That, of course, took him out midway through Game 6, and he's a noteworthy absence should he not be able to go tonight.
He was a phenomenal three-point shooter during the regular season. And in the first round, here in the second round, he's had a couple tough games, but that is a threat that you have to honor. So if he's not able to go, I know he went through warm-ups, finished his warm-up about 15 minutes ago, and it will be a game-time decision according to Hawks head coach Nate McMillan. So how did we get here? Last time the Sixers were at the center, not a great flavor left in the mouths of anyone, but they went down to Atlanta, got back on the right foot with a must-win, literally, Game 6 to earn the opportunity to play again to extend their season. Lauren thought it was a great moment for the Sixers to grow up a little bit, go through that, backs against the wall, got off to a little bit of a shaky start. And, of course, Tyrese Maxey was the guy who got everything going.
Well, really cool to see Tyrese emerge once again. It's something you and I have talked about pretty much nonstop for the last 48 hours, the way that Tyrese has stayed ready. I know we're going to hear from him in a couple moments, but it has been so cool to watch him do this all season long. You can't be surprised when Tyrese Maxey comes into a big moment and has a big game. You can be impressed, though, and I certainly was with Tyrese. And you said it, Seltz, a very interesting last couple of days for the Sixers with their backs against the wall. in a hostile environment. They figured it out. They got to the win, which was the goal, forced this game 7 tonight. And if they can get through this one, Celts, the possibilities are really endless. This is an absolutely huge night for this team, as was this in game 6, a massive night for the 76ers, who of course fell behind by 12 in this first quarter. And then there was that run sparked by Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, among others. Some great defense from Matisse Thybulle to keep the stops coming when they needed them. And Seth Curry has been absolutely phenomenal in this series, Celts.
24 points, sharing game-high scoring honors for the Sixers for Curry, along with Tobias Harris. Really great to see Tobias Harris get back on track. The winner, of course, of tonight's matchup goes on to take on the Milwaukee Bucks, as the Bucks, the 3 seed, went to Brooklyn and in overtime defeated the Nets in a really dramatic game last night. Quite the win for Giannis Antetokounmpo and company, so that will present some intrigue should the Sixers make it through. We know that the first game of the East Finals will start on Wednesday night at 8:30. We just don't know who is going to be in that second slot in the matchup just quite yet. And I also thought, Lauren, there were some good moments for Joel Embiid in Game 6. Shooting percentage, not quite at the level of what we expect or he would expect, but he had some great plays on the glass, second opportunities when possessions were at a premium late in the game.
Yeah, I'm with you, Celts. Absolutely massive in creating those extra possessions for his teammates. And of course, when Joel Embiid has a night like he did in game 6, it's pretty impressive for any player, despite the mistakes you mentioned, the turnovers. Joel afterwards, though, not happy with his performance. He said he knows he can be better. He plans to be better in this game 7. So fans probably have something to look forward to. We know how lethal Joel can be. We know how lethal he can be at home. And he said he is ready to embrace this opportunity in this game 7. He said there's no better setup to win a game 7 than to do it at home.
One guy who set the 76ers up for this opportunity, Tyrese Maxey, only 20 years of age, the 21st overall pick in this past year's draft, a guy who had no seasoning with a post-draft minicamp, summer league. He just went straight into training camp a few weeks after that, of course, dropping 39 against Denver when the Sixers were shorthanded. But the game, Lauren, for him on the other night, Friday, game 6, 16 points. I mean, this is the stuff that clutch, gutsy efforts is made of. And the Sixers needed someone badly, and he was the guy.
I liked something that Tyrese said after the game. He said, if you prepare for everything, you can't be surprised by anything. And so when Doc Rivers came to him at pregame shoot-around before game 6, he was ready to embrace what he was told would be a bigger role. And he did stuff like that all evening long. You mentioned it, 16 points. It felt like more. He was doing everything out there, looking incredibly unafraid, which, like we've said, is not a surprise if you've watched him all season long. But given the circumstances, given what was at stake, incredibly impressive.
Great find right there to start the second quarter in Friday night's 104-99 win. Yes, doing a little bit of everything we saw him score. A couple timely baskets, 3. He also played some good defense. We'll get to that in a moment. The signature floater on full display. He was very much the X factor for the Sixers in Game 6. And Lauren references preparation. Let's hear more about that from Tyrese Maxey. This was after the game on Friday night.
You're right. I've said all year, proper preparation prevents poor performance. My dad told me that when I was like in 2nd grade, and I'll never forget it. And which is why I was, in the gym every single day, every off day, no days off, same thing tomorrow. And, once you prepare properly, your confidence, you build your own confidence. And I think that's how you, really become successful.
What was it? Proper preparation prevents future poor performance?
Proper preparation prevents poor performance. A message his dad gave him in 2nd grade, and he's harkened back to a few times this season. A lot of shout outs to the Maxey parents. And if you want to know more about the Maxey parents in the time between now and tip-off, there was an awesome Here They Come episode edited by our own Nina Raspa. You can check that out on the Sixers YouTube page, learn a little bit more about Tyrese's background.
Yes, time very, very well spent. Do it once you are through here. And the offensive punch that Tyrese Maxey gave the Sixers, certainly that was evident and obvious and critical He was really good against Trae Young.
Seltz lost you momentarily there, but I believe you were talking about the defense that Tyrese was able to play against Trae Young, and there were a couple awesome possessions there. And if that's not what you were talking about, worth a shout out.
Indeed. That's where we are at this
Love
stage
it.
of the season. You know, we can have a connection interruption, and we can understand. We know what it is we're discussing.
We could do this solo. We could do it together. I prefer to do it together, Seltz.
Ben Simmons, a guy who has had the upfront look at Tyrese Maxey's development, talking about the defense that Tyrese was able to give the 76ers in Game 6.
He's being a pest. He's getting into the ball. Not making it easy for him to decide what he wanted to do and not playing free. He's getting a lot better defensively too.
Lauren, this was something that you, Tyrone Johnson, and I discussed on the latest episode of Fanatic about the playoffs, our podcast series, 97.5 The Fanatic, that came out yesterday after Game 6. And it was, I thought personally that perhaps the best defensive play Tyrese Maxey made in the game on Friday was a shot that Trae Young made at 94-93, because it was just an incredibly difficult shot that Young connected on for three against the sideline. But really determined defense by Maxey. He seemed like he was very eager for that challenge.
No doubt about it. I love that possession as well. So I'll force him to the very end of the shot clock in a very important possession. For a guy that's not necessarily known for his defense, didn't come out of Kentucky known for his defense, he certainly has improved, put in a ton of work on that side of the floor, and doing a good job matching that Trae Young speed that we've seen all season long.
And then on the flip side, Tyrese, he's a guy who we know what his gifts are offensively, and not quite too many options for the Atlanta Hawks as far as how they might defend Tyrese Maxey. So seeing how he's used in tonight's game, you would certainly expect the 76ers to go back to him and try and ride him once more to give them an additional spark. And in terms of sparks, Seth Curry has been the guy who's been giving the 76ers such a great lift throughout this series. He's averaging 19 points per game for this series while shooting 50% from three. He has 13 threes over the last two games.
Yeah, Seth has been pretty phenomenal. 61% from the floor in this series. And another one that's kept a really cool head. He's been ready for any opportunity. He's shot when he struggled to shoot until he got to the point where he was shooting really well, particularly in this Game 6. He was phenomenal, especially in this third quarter, scored 14 in the third quarter alone. And Seth has just been so steadfast for this team throughout this playoff run. Joel Embiid finding him there. Joel has talked about the chemistry he's developed with Seth. So really great to see a first-year Sixer not really looking like it and making a lot of things happen.
I think, Lauren, for me at least, the two big turning points of the game on Friday was Tyrese coming in. We talked about that. Then the start of the third quarter that you just referenced, and the Sixers opened it up with a 12-zip run to really get momentum on their side going into the second half. And Curry was a big part of that. The Sixers knocked down 4 threes during that stretch, including one from Embiid, and Curry in the mix as well. So he was really excellent, and he's been consistent, and that's something that was brought up with him during his post-game media session on Friday.
I've just been working hard, preparing and getting a great opportunity. Trying to be aggressive out there. Great opportunity to make plays and just provide this team with a lot of different stuff offensively and defensively. And I'm just trying to accept the challenge and playing against a great team. So it's a lot of fun.
Seth Curry has absolutely been able to do that for the Sixers. And I think it just speaks, Lauren, to one of the themes that we've seen reemerge throughout this series, perhaps more so than the first series against the Washington Wizards, and also something a playoff team has to have. You need guys from across the roster to step up. We know who the main guys are supposed to be for the Sixers, and that's not to disparage the importance of Seth Curry, but I think people would say Joe, Ben, Tobias, those are the top three for the Sixers. You need other stuff to help get through, and Seth has been that guy.
Yeah, that's a sentiment actually that Matisse Thybulle and Furkan Korkmaz both mentioned. You know what you're getting from your superstars in the playoffs, and the difference between winning games and winning series and losing those games and series is what the role players can do, what guys like Tyrese Maxey can do, Shake Milton, even Seth Curry a little bit. Where those guys step up is where these series are won or lost.
76ers getting ready for Game 7 tonight. They are 5-1 all time in home Game 7s. Here's a guy who is one of the most recent ring recipients in the NBA 2020 bubble champion with the Lakers. Dwight Howard, the Sixers fortunate to have a veteran of his experience and his perspective on the floor. And there's a blend, Lauren. There's guys who have been through high-pressure games like this, even as we talked about at the top, the likes of Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, who are here for Game 7 against the Toronto Raptors. Obviously, that game wasn't played in South Philadelphia at the center, but a night where things are defined. You know, it's a defining opportunity for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, Dwight Howard probably excluded in this one, but this might be the biggest game in the majority of these Sixers' careers thus far. As we said at the top, this is one of those games that you sort of grow up dreaming about playing in. And I talked to Furkan Korkmaz about how it feels to dream about it and now gets to play in it.
Hi, Furk. Great to see you. I'm curious about you growing up. Were you the type of guy that imagined what it would be like to play in a Game 7 when you were learning this game? Was this moment sort of on your radar as a kid? And then now, how much are you looking forward to playing a significant role in a Game 7?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was watching like the NBA playoffs. There is nothing like NBA playoffs, like everybody says, especially Game 7. It's like either win or go home games. Also, Game 6 was similar like that. You know, if you lose, you was going home, but we won the game. I think we handled that pressure really well. I think as a team, we are ready right now. I'm ready too. We just need to go out there and fight. It's Game 7.
And because there is so much excitement and energy surrounding a Game 7, how now do you sort of dial it in and stay calm and collected as the day goes on and you get ready to play in such a big game?
I mean, it's hard to say just one thing because in playoffs, every game matters. It's like Game 1, Game 2, Game 3. Every game has like different type of pressure. That's why we are getting ready. We are practicing. We are walking through all the sets, offensively, defensively. I think those routines make us getting ready to the games.
And lastly, Furk, Doc told us yesterday about the trust he has in you guys as a team, whether it's you entering the starting lineup or Matisse, Tyrese, Shake bringing a punch off the bench. He says he really trusts you guys and your ability to get the job done. What does that trust from your head coach mean to you?
I think this playoffs showed all of us that every player on our roster is ready. You know, whoever you put out there, they are ready, we are ready. We're just trying to give our best to the team, and then that's why Doug has this trust, you know, because whatever his decision is, he's not wrong. He doesn't go wrong with it. And then we are just showing it as a players. That's our job.
Furkan, thank you so much. Good luck tonight.
And trust has been a theme all season long, whether it was Furkan discussing the trust he has with his teammates this morning. Doc Rivers discussed it yesterday after the team's film session. We heard Matisse Thybulle before shoot-around on Friday. We heard Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons after the game on Friday. Trust has been massive for this team all season long. They've developed some really, really strong bonds. And in the trenches of a Game 7, those can be huge. So, of course, it's an intangible, but I believe that trust, that reliance and dependence upon one another is going to be huge for this team tonight in Game 7.
Absolutely, and that was again the case in Game 6 when Doc Rivers told Tyrese Maxey that he was going to mix things up, roll the dice a bit, get Tyrese into the game early. Tyrese responded, and when that happens, just another opportunity that you can buy yourself moving forward. Now under the brightest of lights in Game 7. As we said at the top, this is the first Game 7 for the 76ers at home since the Eastern Conference Finals against the Milwaukee Bucks back in 2001. We know what happened in that season for the 76ers. A brand new generation of Sixers players trying to get the Sixers back to that point. They will look to do so tonight in a little bit less than an hour. As we, oh yes, take a look at the court. There he is. There should have been MVP, who has been an unstoppable force for the better part of this postseason. Might not have had his most efficient offensive game in Game 6, but when it counted, some big putbacks in the fourth quarter. Defensively, he was a great presence. And above all, he has just been grinding and gutting it out, working through his injury in his right knee with that small meniscus tear. One thing we've loved doing on 7-6 Live Countdown throughout the season, getting coaching perspective from our guy Jay Crafton, former assistant coach with the Delaware Bluecoats and head coach at University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Let's get some Game 7 X&O Chalk Talk.
This is Jay Crafton. It's time to go inside the matchup. Tobias regaining his flow. Love his aggressiveness early. The entire Sixers team was aggressively looking to find him early in the game. Love the early set they ran for him to post him up on the left side. He gets to his right hand, gets to his fadeaway, which we know he loves. They find him in transition. He gets his feet set for the corner three. And I really liked at the end of the second quarter, as he's coming downhill to his right hand, he just takes up off the left foot, throws it down extremely hard. He had great statistical balance in this game. 9 for 20 from the field, 45%, 2 for 3 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the free throw line, so you could count on him in crunch time. I loved in the post-game press conference how he talked about blocking out the noise and staying locked in, turning his cell phone off, and being focused and ready to go. Sixers fan, we're looking for Tobias to have a big game coming into Game 7. Let's transition to Tyrese Maxey. He was maxing out the other night. He comes in the game with great confidence and pop. As soon as he enters the game, he's already at the rim with his right hand. You love how athletic and intentional and tough he is. When he gets to that right hand, he's super aggressive with it. And then let's talk about his defense. He gets 6 defensive rebounds out there. So he's putting his body on the line. He's flying in there. He's blocking out. He's getting defensive rebounds and giving the Sixers a chance to get out in transition. And then you love the defense he's playing on Trae Young. He's moving his feet. He's a great athlete, moving laterally side to side. And he does a great job getting his arm up and putting some great shot contests to make it hard for Trae Young to get those shots off. We know Trae can make some tough shots, but Tyrese is doing a great job as a secondary defender coming off the bench. All right, now let's look at his plus minus. Plus 12 in the basketball game was his plus minus. So that shows you that he's efficient on offense and he's efficient on defense, giving the Sixers a great look off the bench. Keep going, young fella. Big Game 7 ahead. This is Jay Crafton. Game 7 is here. You just went inside the matchup.
We know Jay Crafton always brings the enthusiasm. We hope to see him again here on 7-6 Live Countdown. Should the 76ers advance, Lauren, we are getting closer to tip. Give us an update. Give us the vibe check. What's it like inside the building?
Well, Seltz, I'm not exactly sure what you guys can hear, but it is getting loud in here. Fans were welcomed into the arena just minutes ago, and many of them started screaming literally right away. It helps, of course, that Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Dwight Howard are warming up right behind me. They're getting a lot of love from the folks that are already in this building. So if we're about an hour out and this is how loud it already is, I think that's a pretty good indicator for what's to come in terms of what we know these Sixers fans can bring and have brought for years and years and years to the equation. They are going to be loud. They are going to be rowdy, and I am really looking forward to it. I know these Sixers are as well.
You got to update the gram, do your check-ins, scroll a little bit, fill in some nice gear draped on the backs of those seats. Lauren, it is time for our keys to the game. Win or go home again for the 76ers for the second straight game. It is now just win at home to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. What do you got, Lauren, for tonight?
Well, Seltz, you said win or go home. To kick off my key to the game, I'm going to say win and stay home because, of course, the Sixers would get to play their first 2 of a hypothetical next series here at the center. Oh, I'm getting extra time, and I love extra time. So, Seltz, I think if we did analytics on keys to the game, my most used key was probably a full 48. And I do believe that the Sixers need a full 48 tonight, but I called this the full 48 for my key to the game. If the Sixers can start with the intensity they had in Game 5, finish with the intensity that they've had in a couple of the other games that they've played here, they're going to be in good shape, but it's all about stringing it all together. And I know that your key is pretty related to my key, so I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you very much. Always a stellar segue. Key for me is empty the tank. If anyone watched the game last night between the Bucks and the Nets, those teams essentially, they went to overtime, but they essentially went 6 deep with the exception of a couple minutes sprinkled here and there around. So both these teams have got to empty the tank tonight because there's no option other than to win. It's very simple. X and O's, these teams know each other. They know what they've got to do. Sixers execute. They're the superior team. They have more talent. If they execute and play smart, they will win and move on to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 20 years. They are almost there, Lauren, and still, crazily, for what they want this journey to be, almost about halfway there.
It's crazy to think about. I love the conviction in your key, Celts. I share that belief that the Sixers remain the better team, and all they have to do is be the better team in a place that they love to play, with guys they love to play with. The table is set. Time to eat.
Get your utensils.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, hey, thank you, Ryan Coletti and Trevor Gaffney. We hope sincerely we are doing this again on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Lauren, thank you. Have a great night. Thanks to all the fans out there. You know what I'm sick of? My last thought. I'm sick of this whole cliched phrase, oh, the best 2 words in sports is Game 7. You know what's better? The best 3 words in sports, win Game 7. And that's what the 76ers are trying to do tonight. Enjoy the game. Let's talk on Wednesday, shall we?
Celts, I never really jump in after you, but I'm going to add 3 more words. Happy Father's Day to you, to all the Sixer dads out here, the Sixer dads that will play, the Sixers dads that have played, the Sixers dads that are coaching. Happy Father's Day, dads. Let's hope the Sixers give you something extra to smile about.